Excellencies, friends, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I am very pleased to be addressing you in this moment of critical importance to support sustainable urban development for a resilient future. I would like to thank the organizers of this 36th Annual Conference of the African Union for Housing Finance for this opportunity. We started the year with a commitment to the decade of action on the SDGs and devoted to reducing inequalities, fighting poverty, and progressively delivering universal human rights everywhere. Little did we know that we would soon be battling a global challenge that threatens to reverse the progress made over the past few years. COVID-19 has exposed and exacerbated the deep-rooted spatial inequalities in our cities and communities, and has disproportionately impacted groups that were already in a vulnerable situation, those without access to adequate standards of living, and in particular, to adequate housing. Housing is not only a human right on its own, but also a precondition for the enjoyment of many other fundamental rights, human dignity, and overall well-being. Expansion of housing opportunities will support the achievement of larger goals of poverty alleviation, health, economic development, social cohesion, gender equality, and environmental sustainability. The future of urbanization depends on how policymakers, private sector actors, and civil society position adequate and affordable housing as a priority in the debate around sustainable development. To this scope, realizing SDG 11 and the new urban agenda requires a concerted, coordinated, and collaborative effort from all stakeholders. There is a growing awareness that the private sector plays a fundamental role in advancing progresses towards sustainability and the achievement of SDGs. Private developers, construction firms, professional organizations, and financial institutions are fundamental players in mobilizing resources to meet the growing affordable housing demand through different housing options. The increasing commodifications of housing and the related unsustainable increase in housing costs require policymakers to work together with the private sector and civil society actors towards the creation of inclusive housing policies. It also requires a broad review of the current approaches to welfare, housing, and land governance, and will entail a shift from a commodity-based to a human rights-based approach to housing and refocus on the socio-economic function of housing. To this end, UN Habitat approaches housing from a holistic perspective in its connection to urban planning, land, urban infrastructure, and services. UN Habitat works towards the recognition of the right to adequate housing for all as a prerequisite for inclusive and sustainable human settlements. In recent years, UN Habitat has worked in countries such as Angola, Lesotho, Mozambique, Zambia, and Cape Verde to support the formulation and implementation of policies and strategies to increase the supply of adequate housing and prevent the formation of new slums and improve living conditions in existing slums. At the national level, UN Habitat works to integrate housing into the national urban policies, contributing to stimulate the economy, reduce poverty, and promote inclusion. At the local level, UN Habitat's approach is to reinforce the link between housing and urban planning. Housing must be at the center of cities, connected to services, jobs, and livelihoods in order to contribute to planned and sustainable urban growth. UN Habitat is collaborating with the African Union to elevate the importance of sustainable urbanization in achieving the African Vision 2063, including the housing dimension. This also justified our collaboration with Shelter Africa to bridge the gap between housing financing and policies. I would like to end by commending your efforts and commitment to the SDGs and the new urban agenda, and by reiterating UN Habitat support to all stakeholders to achieve sustainable and inclusive cities with adequate and affordable housing for all. I hope you will find our recently launched catalog of services a helpful resource as you plan for the recovery and build back better and greener. To realize this goal, all actors need to be involved with clear roles and commitments and mechanism of accountability. Only together can we make sure that no one and no place is left behind. Thank you.